Barry, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Did you think you'd get away with it for so many years? I mean, 5 years of total insanity in the White House, huh? You've been running amok. You doubled the debt. You're destroying the country with your phony Obamacare. You know, Barry, you need to come out and be honest with the American people. It's total redistribution. You want to take everything away from those that have and give it to those that don't even want to bother trying to have. Huh? I mean, that's really what you're doing, Barry. Have you ever thought that that's really not all that fair to those that work to try to build a future for their families? Have you ever thought that maybe what you should be doing is creating some work programs for the, 48 million people you've put onto welfare programs, collecting food stamps? Or is it 49 million? But who's counting? Hey, Barry, what do you think is going to happen when you push through your phony immigration bill? You're going to have, what, another 10, 15, 20 million people on food stamps? Where's all that money coming from, Barry? You know, Barry, I did a couple of videos recently. One of the videos is to see if the citizens in the red states ask their governors and their attorney generals to break away from Washington. What are you going to do, Barry, if that happens, huh? What are you going to do if all the red states decide, you know what, they've had enough of your idiotic programs? They're not going to send in tax revenues. They're not going to send in IRS payments. What are you going to do? What are the rest of the blue states going to do, Barry, when they dry up and blow away? Like Detroit, huh? You know, Barry, you did a real good job. You went ahead and you saved General Motors, or is it now called China Motors? Or when will it soon be called China Motors? I got to believe that's just around the corner. Barry, is it true that 7 out of 10 cars made by General Motors are made in China? Is it true that Cadillacs are now made in China? Is it true that the GM Design Center is moving to China? I would imagine you have an idea, Barry. Yeah. It must have been difficult growing up as a little boy in Indonesia. I believe that's where you were first molested. Or were you first molested by the sperm donor? What's his name? Frank Marshall Davis? You know, your real true papa. You know, Barry, I did a couple of videos, but you probably haven't seen, suggesting that you might want to consider, just consider, agreeing to having some DNA tests done. You know, I mean, Frank Marshall Davis has, what, 1 son and 3 daughters? They're still alive. I got to believe that there's a certain amount of DNA that they have that'll match the DNA that you have. And Barry, you supposedly have a brother in Kenya. You know, the guy that's funneling money to the Mujahideen and to Al-Qaeda. We could test his DNA against your DNA, could we not? But that won't be necessary, because if we test the DNA of your sibling sister and your 3 sibling sisters and your 1 brother for Frank Marshall Davis, won't that be sufficient to prove as to who you really belong to? Must have been very difficult growing up as a little boy. No one wanted you. Your mother didn't want you. Frankie didn't want you. Nobody wanted you. Does that explain why you are the way you are, such a cold-hearted, calculating individual with very little, if any, regard for someone else's human life? But isn't that just a natural trait of most Muslims, Barry? Huh? And you are a Muslim, are you not, Barry? I think you are. It's going to come out, Barry. You can't hide forever. It will come out. And I'm just hoping that our military, Barry, does what the Egyptian military did. You know, to your buddy Mohammed Morsi. I hope that the same thing happens to you and all your cronies that hang out at the White House, including lame-brained Johnny McCain. You know, the guy that has a habit of dropping by quite often, from what I hear. Well, Barry, Thanksgiving is coming up. I don't know if you're going to celebrate that. I don't think that's a Muslim holiday, you know what I mean? You're looking forward to Ramadan again? You've celebrated Ramadan every year since since you've been in the White House. Yeah, you invite all your Muslim friends. You've placed, I don't know how many Muslims into positions of power. Yeah, I did another video, Barry. I was talking about the death panels, and I got to believe you're probably going to appoint a number of your Muslim associates to that as well, since they seem to be rather cold-blooded. You know, they can go cut somebody's head off and think nothing of it and have dinner and enjoy the evening, huh? Well, Barry, I don't think you can hide forever. And I think it's just a matter of time. And I think deep down inside, most sane, normal people would know it. But that excludes you, because you're not sane and you're not normal, which is why you don't know it. Barry, the end is not that far away.